Hi there, welcome to theclearskinessentials.com. I'm Natasha St. Michael, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be reviewing green beauty complexion products, or complexion makeup products like foundations, concealers, powders, products that are green beauty or eco beauty or all natural makeup / sort of like indie beauty brands. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of go through the products that I've been using that I love, and also products that I don't really like so much that I'm ready to finally declutter. So let's jump into it. So we're going to start with foundation, and we're going to start with Annmarie Skin Care. This is their Minerals Multi-Purpose Foundation. And what this is a very unique product. It's a pigmented powder. It's all natural. It's made with just 4 ingredients: zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, iron oxide, and mica. Okay, 4 ingredients. It's a pigmented powder that you add to either your moisturizer or your facial oil, and you make your own tinted moisturizer or your own foundation. I love this product because, first of all, it's beautiful. It's beautiful on the skin. But second of all, because you're kind of like customizing your own makeup and adding it to your own skincare, the chances of getting breakouts or congested skin are pretty much minimal, unless you have like a sensitivity to like zinc or titanium dioxide or something like that. But otherwise, it's amazing, especially if you have like sensitive skin, or like me, you have acne prone skin. The stuff is awesome. So I did a full review of it, and I'm going to put a link to that full review if you're interested in like a lot more information about it. But I just want to actually show you how I use it and talk about how you can use it and kind of the coverage and things like that. So personally, I like to use this with a moisturizer to make a tinted moisturizer. As you guys can tell from watching my videos, I'm not like a super glam, like full coverage foundation kind of person. Never have been, never will be. I like just kind of like a light coverage. I just like to use a little bit of makeup to like even out my skin tone, cover up any kind of blemishes or acne scars, and just to kind of like perfect my skin. But I'm not looking for like a long wearing full coverage makeup. I will say though that you can control the coverage with this, that if you want, you can make it super sheer, or you can actually make it full coverage. All you have to do is, my recommendation is that if you want something that's more like sheer or like a light coverage, to mix it in with a moisturizer. And if you want a more fuller coverage, to mix it with an oil. I find when you mix it with an oil, it just makes it a little bit more opaque, whereas with a moisturizer, it just kind of blends in more with your skin. So I'm going to show you how I make a tinted moisturizer out of this and what it looks like. So this mineral makeup comes in 8 shades. I'm actually in between shades. So I predominantly use the shade Sand, but I add like just a touch of the shade Honey to the sand just to warm it up a little bit. And I like to mix this with Tata Harper, her clarifying moisturizer. I love this moisturizer because it's a very hydrating moisturizer. It's not oily, and it dries down to like a semi-matte finish. And it's not super matte, but it's not like dewy and oily. And for my skin type and living in hot, humid Bali, I just prefer something that does kind of like set down on its own. So mixing these two has worked the best for me. So how I do it is I add just a touch of the sand to the palm of my hands. And then I just put like the tiniest pinch of honey into it. Like, as you can see, it's barely anything. And then I will put 1 pump of Tata Harper's clarifying moisturizer. And then I mix it around. Now, to prep my skin, I did wash my face and I put sunscreen on, and I let that settle into my skin for at least a good 15 to 20 minutes before I'll apply this. I use a mineral sunscreen, so I like my skincare to kind of set on my skin before applying any kind of makeup, just so that the makeup doesn't interfere with the sunscreen and get funny. So as you see, it's on the palm of my hand, and then I have it on my finger, and then I'm just gonna place it on my face, and then I mix it in my hands and I rub it in. And I will rub it in like I would a moisturizer pretty much. So as you can see, I just applied that into my skin without even using a mirror, like literally using the camera. It's foolproof and it's easy. And the beautiful thing about it, like if I come close up, is that there's no like streaks, there's nothing where I need like tools to work it in. It's really, for me, I'm not like a makeup artist or anything. I'm just a regular person and I want something that's like easy to use, that's not like showing on my skin, that looks totally natural. I just want something that's giving me kind of just balancing out my skin and making things look a little bit more perfected, a little bit more polished, but still natural. So I love this. Now you can use it with a facial oil. You can mix it with a facial oil and you can build up the coverage. I find if you do use it with the facial oil, I prefer to use a beauty blender to apply it. So I'll put some on my skin and then work it in with a beauty blender. I find that works for me the best, like sort of making a more perfected look, and it's just easier to apply. Plus, if you want fuller coverage, you just add in more pigments to either your moisturizer or facial oil to get a fuller coverage. Super simple, super easy. As for what skin types this would benefit, I would say all skin types can use it, but one thing I did notice is that when I've used it with an oil before and my skin was maybe on the drier side, was I did find that it would cling to dry patches, especially if I had kind of like flaky skin. I never had that problem if I used a moisturizer with it. And maybe that's also why I like using it with a moisturizer, because it's so easy. It doesn't cling to any dry patches, like nothing. Whereas if you mix it with an oil, you have to work it into your skin a little bit more. So definitely, if you want to try it out, my recommendation is to try it with a few different skincare products to see sort of the finish that you prefer, how you like to work it, what kind of coverage you want, everything. And one thing I recommend is, if you want to try out the makeup, is to get the sample kit. And the sample kit is this little box, and it comes with all 8 shades. And the shades are in these little vials, right? And this little vial, it lasted me at least a month. I would say even like over 2 months, and I didn't even use it all. And I use this almost like every single day when I first got it. I immediately fell in love with it. And the cool thing is that if you get the sample kit, then you can make sure you get the perfect shade to match your skin. If you need to mix 2 shades, then you can try everything out. It's great. And I know some people use the lightest shade or the darkest shade, like for like highlighting or contouring. So there's different things you can do with this. And I just think it's worth going the sample route before actually buying a full bottle, just to make sure you like it and it works for you and all of that. So I think it's $20. And I do believe that Annmarie Skin Care, they give you a coupon as well when you buy sample kits that goes towards your next purchase, like $10 off or something like that. So yeah, I did a full review of this with like swatches and all sorts of stuff. So I'll put a link to that if you want more information on this makeup. But I adore it. And especially for anyone that just like has acne prone skin or sensitive skin, or just has issues using makeup, gets breakouts from makeup. If you really want to make something that's more like customized and easy to use, right? Like this is like beginner friendly makeup. This is awesome. So next, let's talk about concealer. So I have my tinted moisturizer on now, and most of the time I'll just go out like this. But if I want something a little bit more perfected, I want to really like disguise any blemishes, acne scars, redness, especially I get redness around my nose, on my chin. My chin's always pink, sometimes in between my eyebrows, and also underneath my eyes. What do I do about concealer? So I will say right now that I have to use different concealers for different issues. And some concealers I love and some I don't. I think we'll first talk about the Well People concealer. And this is the Well People. This is their BioCorrect Multi-Action Concealer. And I have the shade Fair. Now, this didn't work out for me. I loved it. First of all, I think maybe I'll just show you the color of it, because this is what I found to be kind of the nicest thing about it. It's a peachy pink. And this is great for under the eye. Okay, I did not like this color around my redness around my face because it just kind of accentuated it. It looked weird on my skin tone. So, but underneath my eyes, because I don't know if you can see it, but I have a lot of darkness under my eyes. I have seasonal allergies and I'm allergic to like grass and dust and like all this stuff in the air all the time. So since I was a kid, I have really dark circles under my eyes. And this was fantastic to conceal that. Especially I'm 43 years old, so I have like wrinkles under my eyes and like texture and like all that stuff that comes with getting a little older. And I love this under my eyes. But the problem with this product is that it looks beautiful. It doesn't crease, it doesn't accentuate like lines and wrinkles and texture. But after 15 minutes, it's completely disappeared. Even like 10 minutes. Like usually after like I finish getting ready, it's like there's no longer concealer on my face. It's like, where did it go? And it's terribly frustrating because it is a beautiful product for underneath the eyes. Unfortunately, it just doesn't last on my skin. And I've tried setting it with different powders. I've tried using with like other products underneath my skin. Like I've tried everything and it just doesn't last. It doesn't last longer than like 10 or 15 minutes and then it's gone. And if I reapply it, again, it'll just disappear. So it just didn't work out for me. And then using this anywhere else on my skin, I just found that the shade, since it's like a peachy pink, it's not good for my red areas on my face. It kind of accentuates it. And because it fades, it's not good for like using like on top of like pimples and things like that. So unfortunately it didn't work out for me because I would have loved this just to use underneath my eyes because that peachy kind of tone to it really kind of color corrects the darkness, but it just doesn't stay on my skin. Maybe if I wasn't in like hot, humid Bali and like maybe I was in like cold Canada, like where I'm from, maybe then it would have worked for me better. But in hot, humid climate, it literally disappears within like 10, 15 minutes. Doesn't matter what I do for it. So this is a no-go. I'm getting rid of it because I've been holding on for too long and I can't use it for anything. Now, the next product I have is from RMS Beauty, and this is their Uncover Up. And I have two shades. I have the shade 11 and I have the shade 22. I've been using this product for over 8 years. I love this. I keep repurchasing it. I keep going back and forth between the shade 11 and the shade 22. I'll show you the two shades. They're pretty close. This is the 11 and that's the 22. And I would say my skin tone is actually like in between these two shades. So sometimes the lighter one is better when my skin is a little bit lighter. Sometimes the deeper one is a little bit better when my skin is maybe a little bit tanned. I'm decluttering this because it's gone bad. I've already hit pan on it. And yeah, but I ordered a new 11 because I like to have both of them. I love this. How I use this is mainly where I have redness and where I have blemishes or acne scars. And pretty much what I do is I just put it on my finger and then I will dab it on those areas where I have redness, like in between my eyebrows and my chin and around my nose. Now, what I do is I put it on those areas, but I like to actually work it in with a damp beauty blender. So I have my damp beauty blender here. And what I'll do is I'll just press it into my skin. So I apply it on my skin with my fingers and then I go in and just press it in. And this way I just find it gives me more of a seamless, flawless, kind of natural, more natural look. I don't like the look of like makeup built up on my skin. So I like using the damp beauty blender because it just kind of presses it in and it just perfects it. I also find too with the RMS Uncover Up is that it's oil-based. So I find because I tend to have kind of like normal to oily combination skin, is that using the damp beauty blender just helps to kind of like take a little bit of the shine off from the oil. It just kind of absorbs some of that oil from the product, leaving the pigments on my skin. And I also find that using it and pressing it into my skin, it takes off any excess, that it just helps it to kind of settle into my skin a lot better. So that's how I like to use it. Now, I don't like to use this under my eyes. I find this to be, it's too emollient for under my eyes. It will just kind of like it looks really nice at first, but then like 10 minutes later, it starts like gathering and like bunching up and kind of melting on my skin. It's just because under my eyes, my skin can be kind of like a little bit, I guess, moist, a little bit oily. And so it just heats up the product too much and it can't set. And I find with this is that when I set it with a powder, because it's so emollient, it immediately kind of absorbs the powder. And then a lot of times it can make my skin look super dry. And I've tried so many powders with this because it is a nice coverage under the eyes. It's just that when it's set with the powder, for someone older like me, it can age me. It just kind of, the powder and this product just kind of accentuate my lines and even make me look like I have more lines than I actually do. So I kind of stay away from this using it under my eyes. I wonder though, like if I was in a colder climate or a drier climate that isn't as hot, if this product would work better for me, because I do love how emollient it is, because it's very nourishing for the skin and it doesn't dry out my skin like a lot of makeup products do. So beautiful product. The only thing is that it's got coconut oil in it, and I believe it's like one of the first 2 ingredients is coconut oil. Now, as you guys know, I get breakouts, like really bad skin texture, like bumps all over my face from coconut oil, especially on my forehead and stuff. And I've never gotten a breakout from this. I've used this for like 8 years, like almost daily, usually like in the center of my face. And I don't get any kind of bumps, no milia, no issues whatsoever, as long as the product is good and like, I'm not using it when it expires. So I haven't had an issue with it, but I could understand anyone that has like acne prone skin, they might have an issue using it because it's got the coconut oil. Now, a lot of people ask me too, can you use this as a foundation? Now, I've tried using it as a foundation, but I find it too heavy on my skin. I don't know. It might just be that, like, as you guys know, I like more of like a no makeup look, and I just find this too pigmented, too heavy all over my face. I really just like to use it sort of in my T-zone in areas that just need to be a little bit more perfected, to hide some of the redness, hide some of the imperfections, but not all over my face. Also, too, people ask me, can you use this or how to use this for blemishes? Now, what I do with this with blemishes, because this does need to be set since it's very emollient, is that I find the best way to use this, because I do use it to cover like pimples and stuff, is when you use it to do 2 layers. I find if you do 1 layer, it might not last all day, and the coverage might be more of a light coverage. This you can get up to like a medium coverage if you put 2 layers of it. And my recommendation is to put a layer of it and then set it with a powder, and then put another layer on top of it and set it again with powder. And that usually keeps it pretty budge proof. I find this makeup to be extremely great and long lasting. Like if I set it with a powder, it can last me all day long. I come home and like I'm out in the hot sun here in Bali, Indonesia, and like I come home and my imperfections and my redness is still pretty well covered by the end of the day. I mean, it's not like perfect and as if I just put on makeup, but it looks pretty good. I'd also say too, with the Annmarie Skin Care, with their tinted moisturizer that I just made, that too lasts pretty much like all day. And when it fades off. Like everything kind of just fades. It doesn't get blotchy or patchy or like weird at the end of the day. It just kind of like slowly disappears off my skin, which I love, because you don't get to that point where you look, weird and like you've got makeup like on your face that's kind of like bunching up and getting funny. So I love how everything just naturally wears off. And for a natural makeup, I think it's pretty good. Now, you might be wondering, what do I use as a concealer under my eyes? Okay, because the RMS, it doesn't work under my eyes. It just melts under my eyes. And if I set it with a powder, it's so emollient that with the powder, it just looks so like lined and wrinkled and dry under my eyes. It just doesn't look good. So I can't use that. And the Well People, as wonderful as like a color corrector under my eyes it was, and a great concealer, great like texture, all of that, it fades. It goes away within like 10-15 minutes. And I've tried so many ways of using it. I've used so many powders with it to set it. It just fades on my skin. So at this point, like on a daily basis, I don't wear concealer under my eyes. I pretty much, like as you saw when I was using Annmarie, the Minerals Multipurpose Foundation when I was using that on my skin, I use that right under my eyes. So it does give me a little bit of a wash of color under my eyes to help disguise some of the darkness under my eyes. So that's what I would do, like sort of like as a casual makeup. But let's say like I want to be more put together, I'm going out, or, you know, I'm going somewhere where I just need to be a little bit more perfected. Then what I've been using right now is I've been using Milk Makeup. I've been using their Flex Concealer. And this is by no means the natural makeup, but I like it. I recommend it to anyone that has like wrinkles and maybe a little texture or crepey skin under their eyes. I think this is a great concealer. So until I find a natural alternative that works as well or even better, this is what I've been using. And but I only use this when I really, really need it. And I only use this under my eyes. It doesn't work anywhere else on my face. It's the color, it's in fair, and it's really quite light and pinky, but it fades under my skin very well under my eyes, but it looks super weird anywhere else on my skin. So that's what I do. And I guess what we'll do is we're gonna move on to powders. So now I wanna talk about powders. There's quite a few powders I have to actually talk about. I've got from Well People, Alima Pure, and also RMS Beauty. Let's start with RMS. I've got their translucent unpowder and their tinted unpowder. Okay, translucent did not work for me. This turns kind of a little blue or purple on my skin. It doesn't look good. It's a beautiful powder that it naturally mattifies the skin. It will work great with like the staying powder of your makeup, like to really set it and keep it in place. Fantastic. And it does give you a beautiful, silky, soft focused, blurred, filtered appearance. It's great on like enlarged pores, blackheads, textured skin, all of that. It'll make your skin look really smooth and silky, and it feels beautiful on the skin. It's so lightweight, but the translucent one, it just has this weird bluish sheen to it. I don't like that. So I use the tinted version, and it's fabulous. Now I have the shade 2 to 3, which went with the shade 22 in the Uncover Up. And lately my skin it's been quite fair, that I'm better off going back to shade 11, and I ordered the unpowder in shade 0 to 1, which is a little bit lighter. This is it's not dark on my skin. It really doesn't show up on the skin. These tinted unpowders, like, they're not going to give you coverage. They're just going to set your makeup and blur like the pores and the texture and all of that. So, but I would never use a powder like this for more coverage. Okay. So, and I wouldn't use this all over your face. I really feel like, because it's quite mattifying, it's best just like on the T-zone. That's how I would use it. And I would not even use this under my eyes. I find under my eyes, it makes my eyes look like I'm an 80-year-old. So personally, I find the best way of using this is just on the T-zone, over top where I've used the Uncover Up, pretty much just to set it. And so what I would do is I would take a little amount of it, and I would put it in the cap, okay, like tiny, tiny amount. And I would take a powder brush and I would swirl it around, tap off the excess, and then I would just, personally, I like to just kind of like bounce it around the areas that need to get rid of the shine, that need to kind of like set the concealer that I was using, and that's it. Very, very little amount of powder. I don't want to look powdery. I just want things to set, and I want to take away any excess oil. Now, these unpowders come with a buff, like a little puff, right? This is fantastic tool if you got super oily skin, or like you're going out all day long, it's hot, it's humid, and you want your makeup to stay put. Then what you would do is you would use this puff, okay? And all you would do is you would just put it down on your makeup. You press some of the powder into the puff, and then you would press the puff into your skin, okay? You're not swiping it, you're pressing the powder in. And what this does is it'll really set your makeup. Like if you really need like hardcore like setting, use the puff. If you don't and you just want like a light like dusting of powder, then use a brush. And you can also use like, I also use a damp beauty blender as well sometimes, and just putting a little bit on and then just bouncing the beauty blender on my skin, and that works as well. You know, it really, like, it depends. I find when I use a beauty blender that's damp and a very small amount of powder, that adds a little hydration into my skin. If I don't need the hydration, I really want to just get rid of the shine, then I use a brush. If I really need to have like foolproof, like shine-proof makeup, then I use the puff. So I love it. I think it's a fabulous product and highly recommend it. Next product I want to talk about is from the Well People, and this is the Bio Brightening Invisible Powder. Now, this did not work out for me. Unfortunately, the Well People products so far have not worked for me. Maybe a younger demographic could. This powder is so mattifying. It's so cakey. It's so chalky. It's so, I would say, like deadening for my skin. It's just, it didn't work out for me at all. It's like comparing it to the RMS Unpowder. The RMS is also very mattifying, but it has a slight, ever so slight silky sheen to it. And that ever so slight silky sheen just gives a little bit of life back into your skin, because as we know, powders kind of take the life out, and that's what this does. So I would say though, is that this can work for anyone that really wants like a flat matte powder, you know, then this is your friend. For me, it's too flat and it's taking away everything. That just makes my skin look really like dull and lifeless. And so it didn't work for me, but I would say if you're looking for something that's super, super, super matte, then this could be for you. And I'd also say too, is that the one good thing of something being very sort of flat, chalky, matte is that since there's absolutely no sheen in it, it's really good if you have a lot of enlarged pores or texture on your skin that you find most powders with the sheen in it kind of actually emphasize that texture, which happens with some powders. This will blur that. You know, it won't emphasize any kind of texture, because a lot of times things that are radiant, things that have a sheen to it, anything that's kind of highlighting can highlight texture. And so if you have like a lot of like, if you have very porous skin or just a lot of enlarged pores and texture that you really want to disguise and you don't want light kind of bouncing off of it, then something like this can actually be your friend. So I don't think this is like terrible for everyone, but for me, it really did not work out. And then lastly, I want to talk about Alima Pure. This is the Satin finishing powder, and I have this in the shade Kiko. This is very unique powder. Okay, so what this powder is it's a finishing powder. So it's a little bit different than the Well People powder and different than the RMS Unpowder. Okay, the RMS Unpowder and the Well People Bio Brightening Powder, these ones are setting powders, okay? So they're gonna set your makeup, they're gonna mattify things, they're gonna hold things in place and blur things. And with a finishing powder, this is what you use at the very end of your makeup routine to actually bring back a little bit of life into your skin. Because as I was saying before, is that a lot of times powders can kind of suck the life out of your skin. And this has a satin finish that there's a little bit of radiance in it. There's no glitter or anything like that. It's not gonna make your skin look like a disco ball, but it does have a little bit of a sheen. And the beautiful thing about this powder, and I find what makes it so unique, is that it doesn't look like powder on the skin. It doesn't make your skin look dry. I strongly recommend this to anyone that has dry skin that really struggles with finding a powder and needs a powder to set their makeup, but that it doesn't look matte and dry and powdery, but it actually just looks like your skin. And it actually has like a little bit of a dewiness to it. I use this under my eyes when I use an under eye concealer. So as you saw in the beginning of this video, when I was demoing Annmarie Skin Care, their Minerals Multi-Purpose Foundation, on a daily basis when I'm just like doing regular things, I don't usually use an under eye concealer. I use that tinted moisturizer and bring it up under my eyes, okay? And that kind of just sets itself. So like on a daily basis, I wouldn't use an under eye powder. But when, let's say I'm going out and I want like a perfected finished look, then I will use a concealer and I will set it with this powder. I won't use any other powder under my eyes because all other powders I've used make my eyes look like I'm 80 years old. It really, like suddenly I look like I have a lot of wrinkles that I didn't even know I had. But this powder, the beautiful thing about it is that it doesn't look like powder. It's not sucking up moisture. And so it sets my under eye concealer without looking like anything. And so the concealer is set down so it doesn't have excess moisture and not moving around. It's beautiful. Some people would also, if you have dry skin, then you could use this all over your face for radiance. Myself, since I have very shiny skin in the center of my face, I don't want more shine, especially because I live in a very hot, humid environment. I don't need more dewiness because I just get that naturally. And I don't mind, because I powdered the T-zone, I let sort of my natural dewiness come through because I don't put powder on the rest of my face. So I kind of rely on that. But let's say I had like super dry or maybe dull skin, then I would use this as a powder all over my face because it would be great. I just don't need that extra-ness. So this I only use under my eyes, but it's a beautiful powder. And I think especially if like in the winter time, for people that have like that dry skin from indoor heating and dehydrated skin, this would be beautiful. Very, very beautiful. And it comes in a few shades. And I have to say too, is that this was translucent on my skin. Like it didn't give me any kind of coverage. It just helps to, set my under eye concealer. So I just want to show you what the makeup looks like in natural light. As you can see, it's evened out my skin tone. It looks totally natural. I don't look like I'm wearing any makeup. It just kind of perfects my skin, which I love. So this is my review of my Green Beauty complexion makeup products that I've been using over the years. I've been using a lot of these products for many, many years. And these are the products I like and some that I don't. And yeah, I had fun doing this. I had a lot of fun sharing what I use and how I use it and all of that. If you enjoyed this kind of video, please let me know. I recently purchased the Kosas, their tinted face oil. My parents are coming from Canada in a little bit over a week, and they're bringing all the stuff that I bought over here to Bali. So if you guys want me to do a review of that, I will. Plus, I also purchased the Hint Beauty, their Duet concealer. I know that a lot of you might be wondering about concealer, like because I mentioned I use the RMS on blemishes and pimples. And because it says coconut oil, it's a no-go for a lot of you, and I know that I want to try out the Hint Beauty, their concealer, because that's supposed to be, first of all, it doesn't have coconut oil in it, and it's also supposed to be like full coverage, whereas this, I like it because it's very moisturizing and it's a medium coverage. So it's pretty good coverage, but it's not full coverage. And I know some of you really want like full, like you don't want to see your pimples. So I ordered that to try it out, and I will do a review of that to let you know how that worked out. So I'm keep an eye out on those upcoming reviews, and let me know if you'd like this kind of video. And if there's anything you want me to review that you're like dying to know about, please let me know. And this was a lot of fun. And to end off, I want to know what your favorite Green Beauty complexion product is, like what your favorite foundation is or concealer, or like something new that you try that you just love. I would love to hear it. So please share with us. And if you like this video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye. Oh, and one other thing that I almost forgot is that I did a full review of every single one of these products, like a RIN review, in case you want to know more. And I'll put a link down below to the blog post that has the review, so you can go and check that out if you want more information, plus the shades and all of that. Plus down below I put links to all the products. All right, so wishing you a fabulous day. See you again soon. Bye.